Hey beautiful, how are you today? It's fantastic to see you yet again on our Thursday videos. I'm Suzanna Kaye with Spark Organizing and Productivity, and I'm here with yet another video to hopefully help make your workday and your home life a little bit easier. So, are you trying to go paperless, or have you gone paperless and you might be wondering if there's a better scanner out there to make it just a little bit easier? Today I'm talking about my absolute favorite scanners and the systems that I've built around them to make it as easy as possible to be almost completely paperless. Now, full disclosure, I'm very much a paper person. I love notes on paper, I love lists on paper, I do a lot of my best thinking with paper. But as far as storage goes, I am probably about 99% paperless. These are the tools today that I'm going to talk about that help me be that paperless that easily, because I'm very much an ADD brain. I am not the type to go through a lot of long processes to get these types of things done. We'll start off with one of my favorite things as far as the process goes for scanning a hard copy paper. You've probably already seen my video. If not, check it out. It's called the action file. And within the action file, I have a file folder that's labeled to scan. So that way, when I have some papers that might be a larger packet or a bit clunky to scan, or I just don't have time at that moment, I toss them into my to scan folder. This means that the only thing that needs to be done with them is that they need to be scanned and saved into the cloud. Most of my scans are saved in the cloud. I do save some things on a hard drive, very few things on my computer. It's usually an external hard drive, only the things like tax returns and stuff like that that I'd be really concerned about. But the bulk of my stuff is in the cloud. So I take my to scan folder, and this is where I keep, like I mentioned, sort of the bulkier packets, the larger scanning projects, or the things I just did not get around to scanning at the time. And it can get as full as you want. When it gets completely full, where it's not productive anymore or it's in your way, that's when you can stop and you can scan them. So feel free, just dump things into scan. If you need them before they get scanned, you'll totally know where to find them. Hey Robin, it's great to see you. So glad to see that the UK is represented today. I take my to scan folder, and whenever I'm doing the larger projects, I use my larger scanner. Now this is my absolute favorite scanner. It folds up super small, and because I don't scan on a daily basis, I don't want a large scanner. The copiers and printers that have the scanning function on them, they're okay. They can do the job. They just might take up a lot more space. They're probably a little bit slower. Actually, I know they're a lot slower. They might not have as high of a quality scan, and they don't make it as easy for you. So if you do frequently have larger projects, and I do, because as an organizer and productivity coach, I do help people go paperless, and sometimes I'll help with a large paper project because I've got this baby right here. So this is my key to making scanning as easy as possible. And when it's easy, I'll do it. If it's hard, I won't do it. So if I have to use one of those all-in-ones, you know I'm not scanning. Now this is called the Fujitsu scansnap. I will type all of these names in the show notes at the end, in the comments and such. But Fujitsu scansnap, and this one is the IX500 in case you care, but I have not found a scansnap that I don't like yet. So it folds out. I don't know if you can see this, but that little tiny box has folded into this massive sheet catcher. It's fantastic. This one's also wireless if you want it to be. So I have mine set up to be wireless, so I don't have to have my computer plugged into it in order to scan in my computer. You can also connect it with a USB, but I'll grab my computer. So I've got my trusty computer, and I've got my scanning. As I mentioned, this one's really good for the larger projects. So if you have, like if you work in a law office, if you work somewhere where you have those larger packets, this is the one for you. I just take it, I put it in the top, and I simply hit the button. And as long as I've given it long enough to start up right, sometimes I do have to hit the button twice because I try to rush it after starting it up. But as soon as I start it upright, it should start to scan. I figured it out, user error. I still had one of my test scans opened. Figures. Yeah, even I make mistakes all the time. But as you can see, it's scanning really quickly, really quietly, and it's scanning both sides of the paper at once. So this is a double-sided group of documents. It's doing both of those sides. So nice, easy, quiet. Once it's done, the part that I really love, aside from the super fast and super small, is that on the screen it will pop up to ask me where I want to save what I just scanned. So it has a bunch of different options. You probably cannot see these too well from just the screen, but you just click the icon where you want it to go. So it can go into its own little cloud organizer, which I really don't want to depend on another scanner's organizing system. I can scan it to a folder on my computer. I can scan it to email. I can scan it to a printer. I can send it to Dropbox. I can scan it to my mobile device, to Drive, Box, Salesforce. I can even have it turn it into a Word document by using the ABBYY scan to text. So once I scan that, I can just click that button. It's going to turn it into a text document for me. Figure out what all of these words are so I don't have to retype them. It can send it to photos, iPhoto, receipts, so many places. The ones that I use the most, I usually either scan to an email if I'm sending it to someone else, or I'll scan it to Dropbox or Drive. Those are my go-tos. So I'm really going to quickly tap scan to Dropbox. It asks me what my file name should be. So I type in my massive keyword dump file name. So whatever I search for, this is going to come up. And then I can choose which folder and hit send, and it's automatically in Dropbox for me. It just makes life so much easier. Now, I mentioned the file name keyword dump. I've talked about that one before. If you've not heard it, then real quick, I just use every single word that I could possibly search for in the document. So for this one, this is actually webinar notes on my ADHD course, and I'm doing it this November. I will be launching the webinar, and I would probably just do a keyword dump of like ADHD, high school course, webinar, notes, November 2018, and whatever else I might use to look for this document. That way I can just send it into Dropbox, and if I don't get a chance to file it in the folder where I want it to go, it's super easy to search for it. And I'm lazy. I admit I send almost everything to Dropbox. If I'm not doing a massive scanning project, I just send it to a folder called To File. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but super lazy way, and I love it. But that is the Fujitsu ScanSnap. Now, there are some other great scanners on the market as far as desktop scanners. I don't like any of the scanners that force you into using their system to save your files. So if it does not allow you to export to Dropbox or your own file system, do not use it. I absolutely hate being stuck in a system where I can't get my files back because it's stuck where they tell me to put it. The Neat scanners, N-E-A-T, they may have changed this since the last time I checked a tiny bit ago, but it's not been that long since I checked. Neat Receipt, Neat scanners, all of those are great scanners, but you're stuck within their system. So I tell all of my clients to avoid that brand. If anybody knows that that brand has changed, please let me know in the comments, because hopefully they have. I don't see any reason why anybody should be stuck in somebody else's system. Next. Now, when I scan, it is very rare that I want to do an entire project of scanning. So my desktop one really lives in my drawer in my office, and it does not come out until I absolutely need a larger project because I'm honestly just too lazy. Now my phone has the app Genius Scan on it. Genius Scan is available on both iPhone and on Android. This is what the icon looks like. I've talked about this one before because I do love it. Now my system with Genius Scan is the second I get the document, I try to scan it right then. So if I'm out and about and somebody hands me a flyer that I want the information from, I will say, hold on just a moment. I'll pull up Genius Scan, click the photo of it, which turns it into a PDF, and I hand it right back to them. And then I can file it in that Cloud to File folder, and it makes it so much easier because now I'm not trying to track down that paper. I can just do this quick search for it and it's right there. So this is what I use when I check the mail. If I'm checking the mail and there's something that I want to scan, then I will pull out Genius Scan and scan it really fast because I can do several pages at once and then just let it go right then. I love being able to do it right then. Otherwise, I don't want another project and I will probably not get around to it if I have to actually remember to do it later. So this is how Genius Scan works. First off, usually it's best to use a darker surface because it will be able to identify the sides of the paper. So I will put down, let me use a nice clear piece of paper to scan. I will scan yet again the webinar, and for this, sometimes I just pull out whatever I have. I've got the back of my whiteboard and I can just open Genius Scan. I already have it connected to my Dropbox, to Google Drive, to my email, all of those things. So the easiest way to do it is I just hit the plus button in the corner, take it and hold it away from the scan and give it a second. It takes the picture for me when it's got it in focus and it's got everything. So as soon as it captures the edges, then it takes the picture. Now, it then lets me adjust because if I am doing it on a surface like the back of that whiteboard, sometimes it might get the edges wrong because that one, the edges, did it on purpose because the edges kind of get caught as well. So it got the right-hand side right, but not the left. I can then go in and do a really quick edit of where the sides are. Pull them to where they're supposed to be, and then it's all set. So now I have my nice scan and I can just send it with a tap of a button straight to my Dropbox, to my to file folder, or what I always recommend is I can do that keyword dump. Give it that really quick file name. So I tap the name, rename it, because otherwise it just gives you the date that it was scanned. Then send it right up to Dropbox and it's done. So in a matter of clicks, I've already got it scanned and in the cloud. That's the best way to get it done. Once it comes in front of you, do it right then. Give it a strong file name so you can search for it and you don't have to worry about finding the end folder for it. Just get it up in there, and then if it's in a to file folder, you'll know where to find it later and you can always search for it. Want to say hi to Anselm? Hi Anselm, I see the UK is strong today. If anybody else is on from the UK, say hi so that we can see how many of you we've got. And also, if you're not in the UK, where are you? Represent, right people? US, where are you at? I'd love to hear from all of you. Another one of my just quick mentions, sometimes we do need a flat scanner, especially if you're doing something like photos. And this one is my favorite. I'll talk about it real quick. I'm not going to show you because I rarely use it. But if I'm doing a photograph or something that needs a very high quality scan or something that can't be fed through a feeder, even though ScanSnap can handle most things, it handles the receipts, it handles all of my basic stuff. Once in a while, there's something too delicate to be going through a feeder. Then this is what I use. It is called the Epson Perfection V300 Photo. I think they've got another version since they made this one, but they still support this one because it's so good. Their newer versions, I'm sure, are also fantastic. I have had this one for probably about 12 years. I got this when I first started my organizing business and has been a faithful companion. It also has an insert if you ever wanted to scan negatives from your photos or slides and turn them into photos. You can do it with this. It's slow, but it actually does work. So if you only have a few that are important to you, go for it. But the Epson Perfection is fantastic when you need a flatbed scan, and super high quality settings are available for if you're doing photos. So quick mention of that one. And then finally, as I mentioned, I am a paper junkie when it comes to doing anything creative. I absolutely love to be able to see my ideas on paper and brainstorm all of that fun stuff. So you've heard me talk about it before, my Rocketbook. This is how I scan my notes. I try to take as many notes as I can in my Rocketbook, which is just an erasable notebook. You just take a wet cloth and wipe it clean. The cool thing about the notebook, though, is that at the bottom, can you even see it? There. If I turn it sideways, you can see there's a QR code, and you can't really see because it's a bright day, but there are icons along the bottom. Now, all of the icons tell it where to send the document when I scan it. So I just write out my notes. I can brainstorm all I want. I try to keep the theme of the page all together, so that way at least it's the same group of ideas on the page. And then I can use the Rocketbook app, simply scan the page, and based on which icon I checked off, it will send the document right there. So I've got, for example, one of these is a specific for my video ideas, and it goes directly to a Google Drive folder for video ideas. I've got another one that is specifically for a folder in Dropbox that I have for my ADHD course and all the brainstorming. So when I check that one, well, as soon as I scan the note, it sends it right to Dropbox. I don't have to tell it which folder ever again. And I absolutely love that. And one of the other really cool things is if I happen to take notes and they're not in my Rocketbook, which happens frequently, or I pick something up and I want to scan it to one of those folders, they have a printable sheet too with the barcode and all of the icons. I wonder if you can see it better there. No, just too bright today. But I can just lay this underneath whatever I want to scan, and then I can scan it with the app and mark where I want it to go, and it'll still go to the same place. So even if I did not use the Rocketbook to write it out, I can still use the app and have it sent directly with the QR code and all of the icons. Makes it nice and easy for my notes, because I know that my notes are something that can easily just gather everywhere, and I'm constantly writing notes. I want to be able to get them off of the paper so I'm not tracking the paper, and somewhere that I can find them. A bullet journal is also really great for notes like that. If you're not doing such large concepts that you can have the same folder all the time, try using a bullet journal with an index, and then you can write whatever notes you want throughout the whole notebook. And that index is going to help you find where you took that random note about sneaker marketing or whatever it was that you wanted, because it'll be in the index and you can see. Go to page 5. So those are my absolute favorite top hits. If you like any of these, please give me a thumbs up, like this video, comment, and share. Also, to recap, my favorite scanner for desktop, and I'll write these in the notes, is the Fujitsu ScanSnap. Nice, small, light, and folds out. You can even do it wirelessly. I use this for the larger projects. My favorite app for my daily scanning is Genius Scan. It's a very small charge for it. I think it's like $1.99 last time I checked. It's not too much. Genius Scan, you can use the free version, but you can't necessarily export to all of the different places with the free version. So up to you, a couple bucks, you can keep it forever. My favorite photo scanner, the Epson Perfection. This one is the V300 Photo. Absolutely fantastic. If they've got a newer version, I'm sure it's just as good, because this one's nice, old, handy, and it has worked like a champ without fail. And finally, my favorite notes scanner is Rocketbook, and they even have their printable sheet for the notes that I wrote, not in the book. Those are my scanners. Use your to scan file folder for those scans that you can't get around to, so that way you're not chasing paper around your office. If you can, scan things immediately as soon as you grab them, so that way you don't have to chase paper at all. It can hit recycling right away, and give it strong file names. This way you don't have to file it into a certain folder. You can just put them all into the same folder if you want, and search by your keywords to find whatever document you might possibly need. Well, I hope that you enjoyed today. I know that I did. If you want to find out more about paperless, I have an entire course on LinkedIn Learning. It's all about going paperless from start to finish. Every single aspect I could possibly think about, and it's very highly produced because it is through LinkedIn Learning. They've got a lot better video quality than I happen to have. But that's what you get when you've got directors and producers, right? It was a fun course to shoot, and it was my first one with them. I actually have 10 courses with them right now. So I will put a link to that in the notes as well. Hop on over, and I hope that you enjoy some of my managing to-do lists, and I've got a business etiquette in voice, email, and text, and several other courses about simplifying your business and your life, all over on LinkedIn Learning. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please, like I mentioned, if you like this, please subscribe, like this, comment, and especially share it with other people, because I just want everybody to have an efficient office and efficient life that works so well for them that they have time to do the things that they love. Again, I'm Suzanna Kaye with Spark Organizing and Productivity, and you can check me out online right here or on sparkorganizing.com. I love you so much. Keep being amazing, keep being beautiful, and I will see you next week. Bye.